Now, the government's announced yet another clampdown on dangerous zombie-style knives being sold via loopholes in England and Wales. There's a loophole in the law that they brought in. It comes after Labour also has gone with knife crime today, and they promised a £100 million youth programme to tackle that issue. It probably involves youth workers, it usually does. Joining me right now is Peter Bleksley. He's a former Met Police detective, and still with us is Chris Parry as well. Peter Bleksley, I mean, this comes along at the same time as we're seeing the latest crime survey for England and Wales, and we'll go through the stats there, but do you think there is any chance at all that we're going to be tackling knife crime with either of the things that the projects that the government and the Labour Party have suggested?
Sadly not. It's reinventing the wheel. We've heard it time and time again, as you just alluded to, and it's tinkering around the edges. It's not really putting forward the initiatives that we need. Robust policing, plenty of stop and search. Yep. There's mention today now that there's some new tech being brought into play which will identify knife carriers. If so, that's great, but it needs to be supported by robust policing. Yep. Don't let the police get involved in the social work side of it.
Which is what they seem to spend half their time doing, don't they?
Absolutely. Yep. Robust policing. Let's tackle it. Police, stick to police.
And this is the stuff that people are genuinely scared of. It's also the reason why, you know, people who would otherwise sort of tackle antisocial behaviour, whether it's on public transport or in the streets, don't do it because, I mean, you know, but the odds are someone's going to carry a knife. And there was a fear for a long time. Acid, for a few years, that was the thing. And then they clamped down on that, and then they went back to knives. Now, the thing is, this is an ongoing problem. We see every single week, don't we, another young person, particularly on London streets, but it's happening elsewhere as well, being stabbed to death, often by another young person. But the latest stats from the crime survey for England and Wales, these came out at 9:30 this morning, showed there were an estimated 8.5 million offences in the year ending September last year. They claim this is down 6.6% on the previous year. And the number of homicides, the number of murders and manslaughter, they're down by 9%. But of course, robbery up by 12%, offences involving knives up by 5%, theft up by 9%, offences involving guns up 3%, vehicle offences up by 2%. I mean, the Lib Dems have pointed out, looking at this, there are 6,000, this is a flabbergasting stat, 6,000 unsolved crimes a day. Every single day last year, 6,000 unsolved crimes. I mean, this is not a pretty picture.
And I don't find myself leaning towards the Lib Dems very often. But there's a quote in this press release which I absolutely agree with. It said, this farce has to stop in terms of the lawlessness that's plaguing our streets. Yes, those crimes that affect us, yes, they're all up. The crimes that affect the moderate majority of the UK and who do not get an investigation into that crime.
The police don't even turn up. Here's your crime number, claim it on your insurance, which also will go up because you've made a claim.
And James cleverly yesterday says, everybody's going to get an investigation. Absolute poppycock. There just simply aren't enough.
Any of the crimes that I've been a victim of, I have had to do all of the work to get the evidence and pushed it, and even pushed to even get a prosecution. I've been, and my thing is always, I'm as sharp-elbowed middle class as you can get. And if I ain't getting good service from the police, you know how bad the service can often be. But this thing, the crime survey, how much can we rely on it?
It's conducted by sort of market research people who are subcontracted in to go out and do this. So they go to households, they select a particular person from the household. This year they selected my wife and not me. I'd have given entirely different answers to my wife, not surprisingly. And it doesn't countenance anybody under the age of 16. So
who often see and are victims of an awful lot of crime.
Victims, perpetrators, you name it.
But it's a very widespread survey. It's been seen as sort of, you know, the gold standard for many years of where crime really is. But the perception is people feel that we live in a more crime-ridden society, and yet this suggests we've got fewer crimes. But the key ones we're worried about, like, you know, someone robbing us in the street, someone stealing from our home or stealing our car or threatening us with a knife, those are all going up.
All of those crimes that affect the moderate majority of the nation.
Going about your daily business.
Indeed, and who the police have turned their backs on because they don't investigate theft of bike, mobile phone, car theft.
I know,
burglary.
I know people who've literally said, I've got the number plate of the people who took my bike because they put it into a van and I've tracked them. I know where they live, and literally, no.
Yeah, and cleverly tells us everyone's going to get an investigation. But they give themselves that get-out clause because they now say reasonable lines of inquiry. Well, who's the judge of reasonable? Some temporary detective who's watched 2 episodes of Vera, or an experienced police officer?
Yeah, and then, of course, they can then close the investigation. I've been told, well, there's enough evidence. Well, no, I've given you the evidence. I've provided you. I've got a video of the evidence. You know, what more do you need? But this is the thing. Surely most rank and file police officers. I've got friends who are like, surely they're as frustrated by this sort of stuff as we are.
Morale is rock bottom. Police officers are leaving in their droves. Not only are the police struggling to recruit, they're struggling to retain. And I would,
which is even more crucial because these are experienced people.
Indeed. One North London borough has lost 13 this month. A sergeant, 6 PCs, 6 detective constables.
And they're leaving because they feel they can't do their job properly? What are they... I mean, there's also an awful lot of the political correctness, all the... I mean, how do you have time to police? Because there's surely a pride march you should be on wearing rainbow flags.
Pay, pensions, terms and conditions, morale, lack of support by management, who, in order to climb that greasy pole of promotion, will simply throw you under the bus, whether you've done something wrong or not, as often is the
Or
case.
they weirdly don't deal with the people like, the Wayne cousins, the rapists, who do need to be dealt with, even when these flags are raised big time. Chris Parry, look, you were in the military rather than the police and everything, but I imagine there's an awful lot of the same issues going on.
I'm afraid there is. I mean, I think what Peter said is absolutely right. The moderate majority are being disadvantaged now. And we're seeing the effects of what I call liberal overreach in practically every single institution we've got now. We're turning these frontline organisations into bureaucracies.
Yeah.
And they're not even sort of militarised bureaucracies. No. You look at...
They're sort of box tickers. I mean, the whole of the country has just turned into ticking a box. Oh, we investigated that. Or let me just check your sexuality, sir. It's like, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant someone broke into my car. I mean, this is the thing. The priorities aren't there.
Entirely. But we have a fluffy, liberal, woke leadership polluting the corridors of power who hold all the prominent positions. And this has gone on for a generation or more. Yeah. And it has bled down to the front line, who are now disenchanted, disenfranchised, disillusioned and leaving.
And woe betide having even fewer police officers than we've currently got on the beat doing the job. And also, by the way, officers still sitting there with, notepad and paper rather than dealing with things in the 21st century tech world. Peter Bleksley, I feel a lot of people will feel your pain on this.